Today we will discuss what is perhaps the most single important element of your research paper, the title. The title is the first thing that journal editors and reviewers see when they look at your paper. It is also the only piece of information that fellow researchers will see in a database or search engine query. Therefore, you want to make sure the title captures all of the relevant aspects of your study, but does so in a way that is accessible and captivating to readers. Follow these steps to create a perfect title for your paper. First, ask yourself some questions about what your paper seeks to answer and what it accomplishes. What is my paper about? My paper studies how program volume affects outcomes for liver transplant patients on waiting lists. What methods or techniques did I use to perform my study? I employed a case study. What or who was the subject of my study? I studied 60 liver transplant patients on a waiting list in the US aged 20 to 50 years. What were the results? Positive correlation between waiting list volume and poor outcome of transplant procedure. After answering these questions, move on to the second step, which is to identify and list key words and phrases from these responses. Program volume, outcomes, liver transplant patients, waiting lists, case study, 60 liver transplant patients, aged 20 to 50 years, positive correlation. These keywords will form the foundation of your title. Once you have identified and listed these keywords, use them to create one long sentence. This study used a case study of 60 liver transplant patients around the US, aged 20 to 50 years, to assess how the waiting list volume affects the outcome of liver transplantation in patients. Results indicate a positive correlation between increased waiting list volume and a negative prognosis after transplant procedure. Next, create a working title. Remove elements that make it a complete sentence, but keep everything that is most important to what the study is about. Delete all unnecessary or redundant words. Now let's shift some words around and rephrase it a bit to shorten the length and make it leaner and yet more natural. What you are left with is a case study of 60 liver transplant patients around the US, aged 20 to 50 years, assessing the impact of waiting list volume on outcome of transplantation and showing a positive correlation between increased waiting list volume and negative prognosis. This is getting closer to what we want in a title, which is just the most important information. But note that the word count for this working title is still 38 words, whereas the average published journal article title is 16 words or fewer. Therefore, we need to eliminate some words and phrases that are not essential to the title. In step 5, you will delete all extra words and phrases and put key words at the beginning and end of your title. Since the number of patients studied and the exact outcome are not the most essential elements of this paper, remove these elements first. In addition, the methods used in a study are not usually the most searched for keywords in databases, and represent additional details that you may want to remove to make your title a little leaner. So we are left with assessing the impact of waiting list volume on outcome and prognosis in liver transplantation patients. In this final version, you can immediately see how much clearer the title is and what the study is about and what it aims to achieve. And note that the important terms are written at the beginning and the end of the title. Assessing, which is the main action of the study, is at the beginning, and liver transplantation patients, the specific subject of the study, is given at the end. This will help a lot with search engine and database queries, meaning that a lot more researchers will find your article once it is published. And if you want to add a subtitle to give more detail about methodology, you can do this by putting this information after a colon. A case study of US adult patients ages 20 to 25. Writing if we abide strictly by our word count rule, this may be unnecessary, but every journal has its own standard formatting and style guidelines for titles, so it's a good idea to be aware of these both while writing your title and writing the study itself. So let's review these steps. First, answer some basic questions about your paper. Next, identify and list keywords and phrases from these responses. Third, turn these keywords into a long sentence. Out of this long sentence, you can create a working title, deleting any unnecessary and redundant words. Last, delete any extra elements to meet a suitable word count for your title. Put key terms at the beginning and the end. And again, you may add a subtitle if it seems necessary or important to the study. Keep these tips in mind when creating your research paper title. Write the title after you've written your paper and abstract. Include all of your paper's essential terms. Keep it short and to the point. About 16 words or fewer is best. Avoid using jargon or abbreviations that will not be understandable by the general reader. Use keywords that closely relate to the content of your paper. And never use a period at the end of your title. Remember, your title is not a sentence. For more tips on how to improve your writing, visit wordvice.com and check out our resources page, where you will find a great many helpful articles and videos. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and social media pages to stay up to date with more excellent academic writing and journal publications content.